Now, during last night's Libertarian Town Hall, a young man asked a question about some of the religious freedom bills that have been popping up around the country. Now, these laws are, of course, as we reported, normally used as a way to discriminate against LGBT people by claiming that, hey, look, man, it's our right to discriminate against somebody, deny them services because we don't agree with their lifestyle. We think homosexuality is wrong. Our Bible tells us so. So that gives us the right under the First Amendment to discriminate. Well, anyway, I want to let you guys listen to this young man's question, and then I want you to listen to Gary Johnson's response.
In my sophomore year of college, I was employed at the private religious university that I was attending when an anonymous person outed me to the school administration and my employer. And on the grounds of religious opposition to homosexuality, I both lost my job and was evicted from my off-campus rental. What do you both believe the role of government is in regulating both religious freedom and civil liberties?
Well, that there be a balance. And right now, I fear that under the guise of religious liberty, that the LGBT community is being discriminated against. Recently weighed in on Utah's law, which I thought was really a balance between religious freedom and LGBT rights.
All right, so balanced approach, right? Sounds decent on paper, right? And look, he used Utah as an example. Well, I want to take a look at Utah and see what they did. Now, Utah passed some LGBT non-discrimination provisions with a bipartisan majority with help from the Mormon Church. Might be a little bit of a flag there. Now, look, I'm going to go through and I'm going to look at some of the provisions in this bill. And look, there might be some good things. There's some bad things. Now, I want to go to Think Progress, who kind of broke it down here into those good and bad parts. Now, they explain, while the bill only protects LGBT people in employment and housing, it does not address public accommodations. Basically, that means it doesn't affect how businesses treat their customers. So basically, a business can say, look, I don't want to serve you because of my religion. For example, it's a Muslim not serving pork that they're selling, or a Christian baker not making your cake. Okay, so look, there are protections in employment. That same company, if you're working for them, they can't fire you. Okay, that's good. And if there's housing, well, you can't get kicked out because you're gay. But even so, even with those protections, there are some huge loopholes that allow for some discrimination. Now, as Think Progress explains, its employment protections contain some commendably robust language. So this is one of the good parts. For example, gender identity is accurately defined according to the American Psychiatric Association's definition, and employers must accommodate the gender identity of employees when it comes to sex-segregated facilities like restrooms, shower facilities, and dressing facilities. Likewise, dress codes and grooming standards can be enforced, but it also must respect the transgender employees' identities. Now, some of the exemptions that it carves out, as I mentioned, are some of these. Now, the bill exempts any employers that constitute, quote, a religious organization, a religious corporation, a religious association, a religious society, a religious educational institution, or a religious leader when that individual is acting in the capacity of a religious leader. Now, a religious leader is specifically defined as somebody who is an authorized representative of a religious organization. The exemption also extends to any corporation or association that is an affiliate or subsidiary of such religious organization. So, okay, so look, that's a big hole. You could drive Hillary's campaign bus through it. Okay, so those are some big holes in there. So anyone that's affiliated with a religious organization has the right to not service you. Wow. Okay, that's a big exception. So not so great, right? So this young man, for example, who was fired and kicked out of a private organization, which was religious in nature, for being gay, would still be kicked out for being gay if he were in Utah. Even with these protections, which Gary Johnson says, look, I'm in favor of. This was a balanced approach. Now, obviously, there is more to this bill, and look, it's a mixed bag. Now, I've got some more. I've got one more clip here, actually, on the subject of religious freedom. Let's take a look at that.
Talked about.
On the whole issue of religious freedom, Governor Johnson, you made a comment recently. You said, full quote, you said, the objective here is to say that discrimination is not allowed for by business. I just see religious freedom as a category, as just being a black hole. What do you mean by that?
Well, it's just that what is currently taking place with regard to religious freedom is the ability to discriminate against what I believe are the LGBT community. And there can be a balance, I think, between the two, but I don't want to support discrimination in any form whatsoever.
So should somebody in a business who doesn't want to, bake a wedding cake for a gay couple, should they be allowed not to bake that cake?
I think that currently is the law, that they have to do that. Do they have to decorate the cake? No, they don't have to decorate the cake, but they have to sell the cake if the cake is for sale.
And that's to you, that's the correct law.
Well, to me, there should be no discrimination allowed, and I think that is the current law, that discrimination is not allowed. But I don't want to pass legislation that would allow for that kind of discrimination.
Now, he says that right now, no discrimination is allowed. But that's actually not true. That's why places have had to pass non-discrimination laws. So he's not quite getting this, right? Even though he says, look, I believe in not having any discrimination. Okay, well, that's a good position to have, but how does that reflect in actual policy? Now, he says he doesn't want to pass laws that promote any discrimination, but he's not exactly clear on what that would entail. Now, does that mean that he won't pass additional LGBT protections? Because that might be seen by certain religious people and organizations as discrimination against their religion. Look, I like the idea of no discrimination, but as a policy, I'm not quite sure how that would work out without government intervention. Especially since there's a vocal minority of Christians who think that allowing same-sex marriage is discrimination against them. You see how this works out? So to me, of course, it sounds like he's got his heart in the right place, but there's no policy, there's nothing real to back it up. Seems pretty vague. Now, once again, I think what he's doing is the whole, hey, let's compromise on everything, even if it allows some discrimination towards gay people, and then we'll call it even, and we'll tell the government, hey, stay out of it. Well, look, that's the libertarian position, like it or not. Now, there are some positions that I agree with, but there are many that I don't. But look, Johnson is a candidate, and look, he's getting closer to being able to debate Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. Now, look, I hope he gets there. Not because I agree with his positions, but actually because I disagree with a lot of his positions. And I think we need to hear those viewpoints, as well as the viewpoints of Jill Stein and the Green Party. They need to be represented. That's why I actually want them all in the debates. They all deserve to be in the debate because we need those differences of opinion. Now, right now, he's polling around 9 to 13%, depending on the poll that you look at. So, look, we'll see what happens. Now, finally, I want to give CNN a lot of credit for putting on these town halls and also for agreeing for doing one for Jill Stein in 2 weeks.